A warm welcome to the Talking Cure podcast, where we talk all things mental health. Lebitso la ka ke Lebohang Maskhonyana Bereng. I'm a counseling psychologist in private practice at the Psychological Wellness Center, Maseru, Lesotho. Today, we're changing gears as we're shooting the very last episode of this season. You have walked this journey with us. You have supported us from the onset when we started with the very first pilot, where we were celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Psychological Wellness Center. And we had a great opportunity with Ndate TK Tukisontebe of the TKO Consultancy, who was our host at that very first episode, exploring and looking at our journey of 10 years, but also as we are stepping into this new season where we were starting the Talking Cure podcast. We usually celebrate our anniversary on the 1st of October, and October happens to be mental health month, specifically with the 10th of October being Mental Health Day. And on that day in 2024, we commemorated a Mental Health Day with Workplace Solution being our other episode with Melerato Sekwati Gabi, who is a psychometrist, and she took us through the experiences of mental health in the workplace, the care of employees, the employee assistance programs, and basically just her experience of mental health in the workplace in the context of our beautiful mountain kingdom of Lesotho. We also had an opportunity to have a hands-on practical experience and hearing from one of the local organizations that are doing really well, Metropolitan Lesotho. We had the opportunity of having Memamelo Pomani then, and we explored how Metropolitan Lesotho is prioritizing mental health in the workplace with the challenges that they had gone through as an organization and any other challenges that any organization would go through and the different context in the workplace. But the whole thing is always about how do we prioritize mental health in the workplace? How do we sensitize management, for example? How do we have the buy-in of the leadership? Because if we do have an understanding and a buy-in of the leadership, it's very easy for the employees to be able to follow in. Whether we're going through realignment, restructuring, challenging times of change, but in the context of change management, employee assistance programs are very important. We cannot talk about mental health without even just talking about the profession of psychology in general. We had an honor also of having Mebsao Munyamani, who is a clinical psychologist in private practice at Cyprus Psychological Services and Wellness. And she took us through the introduction of the profession of psychology, her experience of mental health, even just her background as a trained psychologist, how she got to where she is currently as a clinical psychologist. We hope that that was a motivation even for other upcoming clinicians and psychologists out there that are aspiring to work in the space of mental health. We also had an opportunity to have Dr. Palisa Nondabula, who is a psychiatrist based in Bloemfontein. She works both for private practice as well as for government. And she took us through the psychiatric care, which is very important because I believe it's very vital just to be able to have the tools, the resources, so that when we are in a situation of emergency, we know how to support our loved ones, we know how to care for ourselves, we know how to care even just for our communities, our neighbors, and the people that are around us. So being informed in that context, I know Bloemfontein is very close to Lesotho. A lot of Basotho travel to Bloemfontein for the care of whether mental health or any other care. So Dr. Nondabula, we're really grateful that she was able to take us through the psychiatric care, and so that we can be able to fully understand mental health in the context of psychiatric care, where patients may be going through any form of psychosis or any mental health disorders or conditions that they may be experiencing. We hope that that episode was able to empower you. And also, lastly, but not least, we had an opportunity to explore the standardization and regulation of health professions in general, but of course, zooming into mental health, as this podcast, The Talking Cure, is about mental health care. We had a great opportunity of having Dr. Dawana, who is currently the registrar within the Lesotho Medical, Dental, and Pharmacy Council, as well as Dr. Mohalinyani, who is also part of the leadership within the council. And we hope that the conversations that we have had have sparked the light just for us to be able to start and continue the conversations around mental health in general. It is high time that we break the silence. It is high time that we become empowered with knowledge and really start curing and healing by talking, as we know that psychotherapy or therapy in general is a way that we purge. We take out everything. We talk, because there's so much that we can learn from each other and from having conversation. And also just to remove the mystery around mental health care or even just going for therapy. So we really hope that even though we may be taking a break after this very first season, that the conversations will still continue, whether as individuals, whether in forms of groups, whether as families, and also as organizations within the context of corporate, that the employees will continue to be taken care of. Would like to pass our thanks to everyone that has supported us throughout the whole process. Starting with the very first episode, we did mention that TK Tukiso Ntebe has been there with us from TKA Consultancy. He has played a huge role in mentoring us in this space, as this was totally a new territory for us. And I have so much respect for all the creatives out there, for the people that are content creators, because I've had to experience how challenging it may be. There are times when we have had pauses, for example, because of service providers with one of the media providers. We still have about 3 to 4 episodes out there that just went missing, and we just had to find a way to keep going on despite all of that. So we are grateful. Ndedikso kept saying, Melabo, this is bigger than all of us. We have to keep on and keep going, because we know that this is going to affect our community and give a lot of information. So we are really grateful to Ndedikso Ntebe and TKA Consultancy. We would also like to thank, in a very special way, Metropolitan Lesotho for providing, even financially, to support the episode. Because as you can imagine, to be able to produce any kind of content, it takes a lot of finances and money for us to be able to provide these episodes to you as our audience. So we are grateful to Metropolitan Lesotho for that provision, but also just to be able to come onto the episode to share, to be vulnerable, and to provide the information around employee assistance programs. Would also like to thank our clinicians, starting with Me Busao Munyamani, who is a clinical psychologist, Melrato Sekwati Kabi, who is a psychometrist and a specialist in terms of human resource and human capital within the context of work, from Workplace Solutions, as well as Dr. Palisano Ndabula, who is a psychiatrist. We also had provision, for example, from other organizations and supporters and lovers of the Talking Cure podcast. For example, MS Catering and Deco, Mema Kopano supported us. We have Media Lab, who has been able to pick up where we had stopped and given up and thinking this social media content production is just not for us. But they really, with such professionalism, Ntate Mhladisi with his team, Bomes, Babatso, Bontate Moshe, we really appreciate your team, Ntate Mhladisi, for being there, for your professionalism. As I had mentioned, you really pushed through. And the management of the whole space, we really don't take it for granted because we've had first experience to realize what it really takes to be able to communicate and take the information out there. And last but not least, we really would like to thank the Psychological Wellness Center for the financial provision that it has been able to step in and support the Talking Cure podcast. And behind it, Metlotlisang Modise, who has been there throughout and providing the support from the admin to the finance to everything. We really appreciate it and we don't take it for granted. And to you, our audience, the lovers of this podcast, the supporters, of course, this information and this podcast would be pointless without you. For taking the time to really sit, to listen to the podcast, to give us feedback that you have given us so that we'll be able to improve. And we hope that even as we come back, whenever we come back in the next season of season 2, we'll be able to take all the feedback that you've given us and be able to implement it and be able to move on with it. For sharing, for commenting, we really appreciate it. We always say, go ahead and share because you never know who is going to benefit from this information of mental health. So even for this particular episode, go ahead and click and share and comment. And until we see you next time in our next season, we are grateful, we thank you, and we'll see you then. Thank you.